About 9:15, September 18th. It's a little late in the season for the final trip, but don't really have much of a choice at this point. So we're gonna get one more weekend in. We got 4 days up in Muskoka. Heading out today up towards Huntsville. We're gonna do Huntsville out around to the park, down to Bancroft, Bancroft over to Parry Sound, and then Parry Sound back home. So doing this one solo. Bob's not available. So let's go find some fun up in the Muskokas. Quick stop for gas, get the tank topped up, and then get this party on the road.
So one of the plans of this weekend was to test the bike to see what sort of range I could get out of a tank of fuel. Planning and preparing for Alaska next year has been a bit of a task, shall we say. Planning out the sections where gas just isn't readily available, so knowing exactly what my mileage is on a tank of fuel is key.
So gassed up now. We're heading out, heading north, northeast. We're working our way up towards Barrie. Fortunately, at that point, we're gonna have to jump on the 400 to Highway 11 because there really isn't any meaningful route from Barrie to Huntsville other than 11, which is a bit of a disappointment, but we will be cutting off that as soon as we can to find a little bit better of a route. Coming up on the first stop for the day, the first waypoint at least, which is Tavistock, Ontario. Yeah, they got a little dinosaur. Yeah. Interesting. We're gonna pull off here and stop for a little coffee break. I think the next waypoint is Conestoga Lake, I think. Yeah, a couple of GS's. The Brotherhood. Alive and well. So a quick little stop in Tavistock. Ran into a bunch of older gentlemen coming back from St. Jacobs area, heading back to home. I believe they said they were just Windsor area. Nice little chat with them. There was a couple of GS's, a 1250 Rally, new 1300, and then another guy had the RT, had a K-Series bike. So apparently they're making a stop at Peak Power Sports in London, the Old Wolf, on their way back. But we're heading out of here, and apparently they may have gone the wrong way. Heading out of here and heading up towards Conestoga Lake now. We'll stop at the Conestoga Dam and get the next waypoint. We'll go from there. Making our way up now on the last stretcher up the Conestoga Dam. Let's see if we can find a spot in the park on top of it for a couple of minutes and get a couple of pictures and maybe get the drone up. Maybe. I'll have to see what it looks like. I thought there was It may be just like emergency parking for it, but we'll have a look. Or maybe not, because there's construction right where I want to stop. Guess that's not happening. Wow, water level is low, like super low. Holy. Wonder if they're just venting some out to do the repairs on this. Yeah, that is really seriously low. It's got to be down 20 feet. Yeah, I was hoping to pull over up here. It's at this little control building, but that does not appear to be something I'm going to be able to pull off. So just pulled off on a little side road at the end there of Conestoga Lake to get the drone up and have a look at just how empty the reservoir is, and she is dry. I can only assume they've done that because they're trying to service some of the concrete on the dam that we crossed. But yeah, anybody that's got, you know, lakefront cottages along there and doesn't have lakefront, barely has beachfront, I'd say barely has stream front. It is absolutely empty if you look at it here. So we're heading through Drayton right now. We're going to keep heading up north this way. We're going to cross over through Arthur, because, you know, everything going to Muskoka goes through Arthur apparently. And we're going to head up to Hockley Valley. Now, Google Maps showed half of Hockley Valley closed, but we're going to have a look and see. We at least get the first part, and if the second part's closed, we'll just have to route out and around it, and that's that. But it would be nice to try and get through Hockley Valley if we can. So we'll find out in about 40 minutes, I think. Alright, we're starting down Hockley Valley now. I just got to get around. Hopefully get around this guy if I can. Yeah, with the west side of Hockley Valley, we get through here, see how much of it is closed down the other end. This guy turning, maybe? Alright, good stuff. This guy's not paying attention to shit though. Yeah, when I had mapped this out and looked on Google, it showed Hockley Valley, the east half of it being closed. But I looked at it now and it seems like it's open. So I'm really not sure what to expect once we get up here, but we'll run it as far as we can. Ideally, I'd like to be able to get all the way down through and out the other side, but, you know, see what we get. Yeah, if you're ever in the Orangeville area, it's certainly worth coming up and having a cruise through. It's a nice little ride. We're starting to get some fall colors up here. Not expecting too much in the way of fall colors up in Muskoka, but I don't know. It's starting to get some down here. So we might actually get a little bit more than that up there. We'll have to see. Just stopping for a break just north of New Tecumseh, I believe. Heading out from here, we're going to cut across, pretty much cut straight east. Unfortunately, that means collecting up onto the 400, but the alternative is having to deal with going through Barrie, and I don't want to go through Barrie traffic, so yeah, head out from here and work your way up into the Muskokas. Well, can't seem to avoid it one way or the other. Now we get to start the really fun part of this, which is the 400 up to 11. Highway 400 sucks. God, it sucks, northbound and southbound. So fuel light just came on. We're in Aurelia right now, so we just pulled off here, and about 60 kilometers from the end point. Well, the next stop, which is set of waterfalls, just before we get to Huntsville. So make a quick stop here, and then we'll work our way up there. Done for 11. Quick stop here at Potts Falls, just north of Bracebridge, I think it is. Yeah, it's got to be just north of Bracebridge. It's a nice little bridge across you can walk over. Looks like there's a conservation area or something. It is a little breezy, so I'm not going to put the drone up as much as I really would like to. I just don't want to run that gamble of losing it in the wind and the water. Looks like there might be a spot to walk down. Not quite Niagara Falls, but something. So we're just coming into Huntsville from the south. You're stopping at Goodwin Park to see these little locks that they have. Looks like there's some construction around the park area, so that might be a little interesting to get to, but we'll have to check it out and see. And then once we get into town, I keep saying once I get into town, I am definitely going to go by and see if Smokin' Hot Barbecue is actually open tonight, hopefully by chance. It may be. It may not be. But it's worth a shot. Stop at the Brunel locks. Kind of interesting. It's always been on the list to stop on the way through, just never have. So now we're gonna head in and test the luck on Smoking Hot Barbecue. I'm figuring it's closed. Google says it's closed, but I gotta check. Yeah, not used to being out on a bike trip and having to worry about school zones. Most of the time the bike trips are in the summer when school's not in. I'll be damned if I'm not getting my barbecue in Muskoka. So my go-to Smoking Hot Barbecue, not open, but I've just found this other gem down by the water. It's got a really good star rating, really reasonably priced, so we're gonna give that a go for tonight, and we'll still pick up Smoking Hot on the way back through on Saturday. Let's get some dinner in me and go get checked into the hotel. So I may have just found my new barbecue place in Huntsville. Just as good as Smoking Hot, probably about 30% cheaper. Definitely worth stopping by this place if you're in town. Rolling out from the Lions Lookout. Pretty interesting. Got a pretty good view of the town and some of the lakes around the area. We're gonna go get fuel, I think, and then go check in. Alright, so we're all checked in. We're going to walk up to McDonald's here and rectify our coffee problem. Get settled in, get some video transferred over, bike unpacked, and start organizing for tomorrow to over through Algonquin. Be a good trip. 9 o'clock in the morning, Friday, just leaving Huntsville. The roadway in never fails to impress. Another good stay there. It's probably about 8 degrees, 9 degrees out right now. Sun's just starting to come up, so it should warm up a little bit. And we're going to head out from here, head up to the east through the park, out towards Barry's Bay, and then start zigzagging through roads, and ultimately ending up in Bancroft for the night. So here we go. We're on 60 East, just past the turn off to go down to Dorset, which we'll be coming back up through tomorrow. We're probably close to the west gate of Algonquin now. So we're going to run this all the way through up to Barry's Bay. Some back roads down around Barry's Bay to a couple of overlooks and lookouts. And eventually we're going to end up back out in Bancroft. But right now we are on the hunt for moose. So all the times I've been through the park, I have yet to actually see anything show up, which is kind of depressing. But we're working on it. The colors are starting to come out, so that's nice. It is a little chilly. Bike is reading 10 degrees. So yep, I am running with the heat on, and all the vents are closed. And really, it's not horrible. I've certainly ridden it much colder than this. So this really is not that bad at all. And it's only going to get a little bit better throughout the day. I think they're calling for 17 degrees and sun, so that'll make a huge difference. But I can see the heat staying on for the foreseeable future. I was told that they were doing some repaving through here by one of the gentlemen I ran into at the hotel. So we'll have to see just how much there is. We're already technically inside the boundaries. Oh, they have done a shave and pave. Which is ironic because I don't remember this being bad at all. The colors are really starting to come up now though. I am actually quite shocked that they're repaving this. I don't ever recall it being anywhere near as bad as some of the roads in the area. Still looking for these moose they say live out here. Seeing these signs. Some turkeys. But the only bit of wildlife I've seen so far is about half a dozen turkeys on the side of the road. Sun's ducked behind the clouds. I might have to pull over and throw another layer on the top. It's getting a little on the chilly side. We're down to 9 degrees now. Yeah, I could do without this cloud cover. Really starting to wreck the temperatures. We're down to 8 degrees. A little on the chilly side, so I am definitely going to be pulling off and putting on another layer. Well, as you can tell, I lost my sun. Saw 7 degrees Celsius down on the dash and figured it was time to pull over and put on another layer. So now I'm kind of walking around looking like Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. But at least I can stay warm, which will be nice. So yeah, nice little stop here on the side of the road. I have no idea where I am or how far through the park, but still working east. Hopefully the sun comes back out and I can lose this layer.
After adding another sweater, I continued my travels eastbound through Algonquin Park in a very uneventful fashion. The roads were smooth, the traffic was flowing, there wasn't really much of a stop or any reason to pull over. It got cold, down to about 7 or 6 degrees Celsius. The entire time riding through Algonquin, it was weird because it was the only section that was full of cloud cover all the way through. When you're literally out in the middle of nowhere, any little bit of sun helps with the temperatures, and it just was not helpful that day.
And that's a run through Algonquin at the east gate now. We're gonna head through here and continue our way out to Barry's Bay. I think we'll just keep going straight up and just stop at Barry's Bay instead. And again, another pass through the park and no moose. So I don't believe they exist. It's all just lies. I have an absolutely horrible track record for seeing moose on a motorcycle trip. Now, yes, obviously I don't want to see them right in front of me, but it would be nice to see a moose once or twice. I've ridden through northern Ontario. I've ridden all the way to the west coast of Canada. I've ridden all the way to the east coast of Canada, including Newfoundland. And I have yet to see a moose walking in the wild. So I just have zero luck. So the goose egg for moose still exists. That sucks. The sun's starting to come back out, so this is a little bit nicer. It's getting a little chilly going through there. It'd be nice if the sun came out and stayed out though. Cloud cover could just go away at this point. Oh, hello. 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 You remind me of a doggy. Pulled over in Whitney at the Memorial Park. Yeah. Gale Ferry Lake Memorial Park. Some coffee. Warm up a little bit. For whatever you can. Looks like some of the clouds starting to break now, which is a better chance of getting some heat back. Met the town mayor, who's laying on the ground over there. And we're going to keep rolling out over to Barry's Bay. Just rolling into Barry's Bay now. Gonna have a little tour around, check out a couple little things. We'll stop for a bit of a break and some coffee and warm up a little bit more. It's up to 11, but she's still chilly. The sun's at least out now. I don't know if it's the cold or what, but just been yawning the last 20 minutes horribly. When you're yawning is not good. When you're yawning and quasi-shivering at the same time when you're holding on to the handlebars. So a quick stop in Barry's Bay at Zurikowski Park, where they've got a, scale size model of the
Avro Arrow.
Apparently he was one of the chief test pilots of the
Avro Arrow.
which is kind of interesting. It's a neat little park though. Stop by here every once in a while on the way through. Can't really say I've ever actually stopped in at the park, but we've seen it on the way by, so figure it's worth a stop in now, have some coffee, warm up a little more, and keep rolling. Rolling through Combermere, down to everybody's favorite road, at least for Bob, Letterkenny Road. Alright, so just stopping at the start of Letterkenny Road. This is Bob's favorite section, so I had to get him some drone shots. We're heading down to Quaidville, get some gas, and we're going to continue around on the rest of the route.
after reviewing my fuel situation in Quaidville, I decided to skip this single sketchy pump that they had and continue to work my way east, and figured I would grab gas somewhere down Highway 41 on the way back into Bancroft. Quick stop at a rest stop here on the side of Tooheys Lake on Highway 41, heading westbound now, heading towards Bancroft. Probably about an hour and a half out at this point. Do have to find gas somewhere along the way. I guess I could make it, but it might be a little close. But just stopping here for a quick break and then find some gas up along the way.
And we're heading back west now. Going to be westward travel from this point out. This is the farthest east we're going to get, I think.
So I managed to find gas on Highway 41. The funny part is we've come through here before, and I remember this place, and for the life of me I couldn't remember where it was. But it was a memorable place just because of the shape of the building. So it's kind of funny that I managed to stop here again. But yeah, Griffith General Store on Highway 41. So final stop before getting into Bancroft. I was just coming down 28 on the way in. You can see the highway over here. And I saw this opening that looked directly back out onto the lake, so I figured might as well take a little side trip down and have a look. And kind of use this as a little bit of a break stop, and yeah. It's not bad. All the places to stop. On the scale of 1 to 10, this is not bad. Made it into Bancroft, took a little cruise over to the park just to figure out where to eat. Ended up at yet again another food truck. Seems to be a bit of a food truck tour this trip, but it's got good reviews, so why not give it a shot and see how good the food is. So I'm gonna have dinner and I'm gonna head down to check in and then I got to get set up to get out for sunset at the lookout. I got to stop and get gas and some supplies, but other than that, it'll be a pretty easy night. Watch the hockey game. Alright, so we're just going to hike up to the Eagle's Nest Lookout in Bancroft for sunset. Faces the right direction, and there's a nice easy path apparently to get there, so might as well go have a walk out and have a look. Take some photos, have some coffee, then we'll go back and watch a hockey game. Well, it's 8:30, waking up in Bancroft right now. They had frost overnight, so it is cold out. It's currently -1, and it's going to be a cold morning. We're going to wait a little bit, let it warm up. Probably get out of here about 10 o'clock and start heading. It's chilly. It's going to be time to put some layers on, I think.
Alright, so after a disastrously long line to get a coffee has now been refilled. And we're going to have a slight change in plan from the original route. It turns out an old co-worker lives up in the area. So we're going to make a little sidetrack over there for a visit. It's about 20 minutes north of Bancroft. So we're going to get out of here, get heading that way. And then we'll take some other different back roads to get back on route for the day. Weather so far right now, we ended up waiting it out, is not horrible. It's 12 degrees at 10:30. So just got the thicker sweater on for the day. Try and stay a little warmer, but not Stay Puft Marshmallow Man warm. So far, it doesn't feel horrible. It's only going to get better. Tomorrow's supposed to be nice, so tomorrow should be a non-issue. So yeah, that's what it is. You know, the joy of traveling solo, you can change your plans on a whim. No conversation, no nothing. So we're going to run up here and see Ange and Kirk up at their place, and then we'll take some back roads. Instead of the first start of 181, we're going to take a bunch of back roads to get around to Haliburton from that point. The weather is supposed to warm up, thankfully, but it's not a horrible temperature to start at. Guys I was talking to at the hotel last night up for the night from Barry.
A few moments later.
After a long overdue visit with Ange and Kirk, the weather started to warm back up a bit and it was time to get back on track. After leaving Lake St. Peter, I changed my route up a bit to work my way over to Haliburton. Made a quick stop at Skyline Park in Haliburton and head from here to the Haliburton Forest Wolf Center.
wildlife preserve. I'm gonna stop in there and spend a little bit of time there, working my way back towards Huntsville and ultimately Parry Sound. We're gonna make a run down into Halliburton, grab some gas, and then head over to the Halliburton Forest Wolf Center. See if we can spot some puppies.
Halliburton Forest Wolf Center was an interesting stop. Unfortunately, what I did not know is this is not actually a sanctuary or a rescue. All the animals on site have actually been born on site and are simply kept in captivity, more along the lines of a zoo. This made me a little bit disappointed. I don't think I'll be going back.
Sections up here between Carnarvon and Huntsville. Highway 35, which runs up through Dorset. The pavement is just beautifully paved, nice sweepers, not a lot of traffic. It's just such a beautiful ride, but we're going to stop in Dorset. So I'm not going to do the fire tower in Dorset. I'm just going to go probably stop at my regular park that we stop at up there, and then continue north up through Huntsville at that point. The problem is I'm not really that hungry yet, which sucks because I was hoping I could time this out where I'd be hungry enough I could stop and have my barbecue in Huntsville, but I may not get it on this trip. I may just have to deal with the barbecue I had on the night in, which, you know, not to say it was a bad thing or anything, but it wasn't smoking hot barbecue. And then we're looking from Huntsville up to Sprucedale, and then we're going to run 518 into Parry Sound. So I'm kind of looking forward to it. It's been a long time since I've ridden 518 in its entirety, so that'll be a good little ride. stopped at the park at Dorset where we normally stop to take a break, and the sign on the way in the park said expect police enforcement, which I find kind of entertaining given the pace I just had from Carnival and down to here. But I might slow it down a little bit. Problem is I'm kind of chasing daylight at this point. Sun's going down even though it's only about 3:30, 4 o'clock, but the days are getting shorter, so I'm gonna have to choose my places apparently. I was gonna go up the Dorset Fire Tower, but I'm gonna get the Fire Tower in Parry Sound anyway. It's gonna give me a better look over the town, so I'm gonna go do that one instead, and I'll bypass this one again. This one charges some sort of weird nominal fee. It's like $8 or something like that. And you know, if it was going towards a charity or something to use to keep the tower maintained, then maybe. But I think it's just somebody trying to cash in. So take a quick stop here and then back on the road and get to Sprucedale and start 518 into Parry Sound.
Leaving the park in Dorset, I managed to group up with a couple other bikes heading up towards Huntsville. Needless to say, it was a pretty brisk pace, so I'm just not going to include any of that in here.
Alright, so just crossed back through Huntsville. Apparently on the way out this side, the Huntsville Fall Fair is going on. A bit of a traffic jam. But I got through that, and I just got to get by these couple of cars here, and I got free reign up to 518, hopefully. We'll have to see. But it's 10 after 4. I did not stop for barbecue. Unfortunately, I'm not quite hungry yet, and that's the problem with a meal like that. You need to go in hungry, so I'll also have to find something in Parry Sound, I guess, for dinner. Not sure what, but find something. I know there's a smash burger place in there that's reasonable. If they're still open, if they've not closed off for the season. Nice place. If they've closed off for the season, I'll find something else for sure. I didn't know there was this much residential on the other side of Huntsville. This was a little bit of an unexpected 10-kilometer bonus of gravel. I'm almost certain the last time I came down through here, given it was 15 or 20 years ago, this was all paved. Now it's really good hard pack. Some of the corners have loose gravel in them, which is a little crummy, but most of this is all fairly hard packed. There's not a lot of dust or dirt or anything, so it's not too bad. But this is going to run us straight up to Sprucedale, the end of 518. Then we get to Rock 518 into Parry Sound. Only downfall with that is we're doing it into the sun, which might make it a little difficult to see. So we'll have to see what the road conditions are like, see if they've cleaned up and repaved any of the nasty frost heaves that are in there. But should be good. We'll have to see. Join that dirt. Ooh, back to pavement. So quick stop in Sprucedale here at the start of 518, heading towards Parry Sound. This Ravenhill Road, I've done it before. I don't remember it not being fully paved all the way through, but there was a section of gravel through there. It was all hard pack. But ironically, two Harleys just went by that I ended up following from Dorset up that seemed to be trying to take off, and we're having a hard time getting a lead. So I still managed to beat them even though I took the back roads, which is kind of funny. I'm actually on Stisted Street is what I just rode up through Ravenhill. Ravencliff Hill, I think, is the little town it goes through. I always thought it was just Ravencliff Hill Road. Apparently not at this point, but it's the start of 518. We're going to run that down to Parry Sound into the sun, which is going to be kind of crummy, but we'll do it. We'll see. Road surface. I wonder if they've fixed any of it. Doesn't really. Well, it's better than what it was. Not any massive frost heaves, but there's a couple of spots. Oh yeah, there's still some heaves. Honestly, I think that's the first time I've ever ridden 518 from east to west. We're normally getting 518 as we're leaving Parry Sound and going west to east, so hey, guess there's always a first for something. But that was a nice little spin. Pace was relatively good. The road's just as bad as I remember it, though. That's hard to say. It's not quite as bad. I remember it being a lot worse than that in some spots. But all in all, not bad. Not a bad run at all. Alright, so made it to Parry Sound. We're going to stop at the fire tower here and we're going to go back and get a smash burger for dinner before we go to the hotel because they close at 7 from the looks of it. So we make sure we get some dinner before we get back. So now we start the hike. Lie. It's quite the hike. A lot of stairs. But view is totally worth it. Well, that's the fire tower done and complete. Time to go get me some smash burgers. Alright, so we just stopped over at Smash Burgers over there, had some dinner, which was quite good. We stopped there in the spring, so it was kind of funny. We got them the first weekend they were open and the last weekend they were open. Now, it's time to head off, get checked in at the hotel. Yeah, I know, we might go out for another little rip later. A couple spots I'd still like to stop in and see. But the sun is slowly going down. At least it warmed up nice enough today. I actually finally managed to shed a sweater, which is shocking. Alright, just leaving Parry Sound. I'm gonna drop the hotel room key off. So we're gonna end up making a stop, get some coffee, and then we still have a bunch of good roads up here in Muskoka to run before we start cutting back through from the 400 back home. So we're going to catch 141 and 632 on the way out down through Bala, which will be nice. Those are always a fun one to run. Temperature's not glorious. Bike says 15. Oh, there you go, 14. It's going to come down now. But it's not horrible. With an extra layer on, I think we'll be alright. At least for the first bit, then we're going to lose some layers. 141 to Rousseau, then 632 south. We're going to go through Port Sandfield down into Bala. And then pop out in the 400 for a little bit. And then get off the 400. That's going to be loud. Get off the 400 as soon as we can. And should be okay. The further we get down south, the later the day, the warmer it'll get. So we can start losing some layers. Down to 13. I imagine it's going to probably drop to about 11 before we actually get rolling. So we're just starting the morning off with stopping for coffee. Actually, I should just wheel in here. Let's just wheel in here for coffee. It's probably better than the line that's over there. That's a better idea. So quick stop in Port Sandfield, have some coffee, warm up a little bit. Temperature's not bad, sun's out, which is helping. The wind is the part that's not helping much. But other than that, so far so good. Roads have been nice. 632 is fun as always. Top section's getting a little worse. Look for the heaves and the cracks, but yeah, it's a good run so far. We're gonna head out of here, head down towards Bala. Maybe stop in Bala, and then work our way down the 400. Bala now. Stop at the Bala Falls. And from here we're going to be heading west out of here to the 400 and then rocking the 400 south for probably about 20 minutes to get past Port Severin to where we can cut back off into the back roads and start running those down. Oh, quick stop, Bala, not going to be here long, just going to have a little bit of coffee, then get rolling again. Make a good time, weather's warming up a little bit, the sun is really helping that out, so hopefully that trend stays. The skies are clear, so we should be good to go, and start making some time. Alright, survived the 400. Not that it was that bad, but it's a little bit easier to handle now on the new bike than the old one. We just on some back road, just pulled off into some shade. We're gonna lose a layer, or at least go to a lighter layer. It is starting to warm up, which is nice. Changed the route a bit, not gonna go through Creemore. Instead, I'm gonna take a cruise through Borden on the way out and stop in there in a couple spots. And we're probably 4 hours direct home from this point, but we're making reasonable time. Lighting's not great. There we go. Making reasonable time at least. So we'll head out from here and see where we can get off to and make our way down to Borden. Probably about an hour to get there. think I figured out why I don't enjoy, well, not don't enjoy, I don't care for the ride from home up to Lake Barrie area through the back roads. Given it's a better option than riding the 400 series, like the 401 to the 400 North. But I think the worst part is coming back after having been up in the Muskokas, riding roads at a spirited pace, let's say, and enjoying it, lack of traffic, coming down here and just getting stuck dealing with all the stupid people that just don't seem to know how to drive. I really wish this whole top corner section, pretty much from Angus to Barrie, I think has got to be the worst, because there are no remote back roads to get around it. You just kind of have to deal with it and go, at least from Angus and Borden area down. There's like the primary highways, but you can always go a concession east or west of them and get a back road where there's no traffic. Just up here, there's traffic on every road. It's the end of my rant. We're about 15 minutes from Borden, so this is going to be the worst 15 minutes because it's going to be through Angus to get around to get into Borden. So it is what it is. At least run that section through and get up and get into Borden. Hey, puppy. Welcome to Angus. Roll through town here. Get over to the entrance to Borden. CFB Borden. We'll go for a ride through there. I assume you can still traverse through Borden. I don't know if policies have changed or anything. They've got museums and that on base, so I'm assuming it's still open to public. So just stopped in Tivittdale for gas. Got a little close. I think it was down to about 30 or 29 kilometers of range left. Probably the lowest I've had it. But it's good to know that, you know, the range is accurate. Probably have about 2 hours left to get home at this point. Gonna run down this way and collect some back dirt roads on the way through, and eventually pop out somewhere around Sebringville. Stop for a little bit of shade just outside of Sebringville. Making really good time home. Probably under an hour at this point to home, so next stop's probably home base. Looks like there might be weather coming in. It's hard to tell if it's just overcast, but hopefully there's nothing. We'll see.